Story Chapter 1: The Arrival. Jonathan Weaver's old sedan grumbled and rattled as it navigated the winding roads of the Appalachian Mountains. The radio fizzled in and out, offering scant moments of country songs before fading back into static. He had left the noise of the city behind a lifetime ago, or so it felt. The breakup was still fresh, a sharp, unhealed wound, and this journey was meant to be a salve, a way to lose himself in the quiet embrace of nature. As he drove, the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows that danced over the dense foliage of the mountainside. He had become familiar with the solitude of these roads, their twists and turns a comforting distraction. The Appalachian air wrapped around him like a shroud, clean and cool, the kind of cool that numbed the chaos inside his mind. Just as thoughts of setting up camp began to take root, a sudden glimmer caught his eye, a flicker of light where there should be none. Between the trees, something gleamed, a reflection of sunlight on glass. Curiosity piqued. He directed his car down a narrow path that seemed to lead toward the light, the promise of civilization. Trees parted like a stage curtain, revealing an unexpected scene. A small town sprawled across the landscape, snugly nestled in a verdant valley. Jonathan slowed as he entered the town. It was picturesque, almost too perfect to be real. Rows of quaint houses lined the main street, adorned with American flags and window boxes spilling over with vibrant blooms. The scene was so idyllic it seemed to have been plucked from a postcard. But as he ventured further, an unsettling sensation crawled over his skin like an icy breeze. Every dwelling, every business, every structure had its doors and windows wide open, each building inviting the whispering mountain breezes inside. The silence was staggering, an oppressive absence of life typically teeming with energy. No pedestrians walked the sidewalks, no cars whizzed down the road, not even a dog barked from a porch. It was as if time itself had stopped. Jonathan parked in front of a diner, its old neon sign flickering sporadically. The letters that once proudly announced Betty's Eats now struggled against the encroaching twilight. The silence extended its invitation, complete in its eeriness. Inside, drawer contents spilled onto linoleum floors. Menus lay abandoned on tables alongside half-eaten meals. Coffee cups sat steaming on counters, their tendrils of steam twisting into the still air as if attempting to escape their arbiter's sudden absence. A chill tiptoed down Jonathan's spine as he wandered through yet another open doorway. This diner, meant to be bustling with life and laughter, was empty, yet everything hinted at recent occupancy. He couldn't shake the feeling of unseen eyes watching, a constant pressure just beyond his perception. Determined to uncover the mystery of this ghostly town, Jonathan unfolded a portable chair, his sole companion, and set it directly in the middle of the main street. He would wait and watch, surrendering himself to the silent invitation that hung thickly in the air, a puzzle begging to be solved. Perhaps the answers would come with the setting sun, or maybe they would creep from the darkness, whispering secrets hidden by daylight. Story chapter by chapter, the story would unfold its truths, and Jonathan hoped, with each passing moment of the creeping night, that he would be ready for whatever revelations lay in wait. He wasn't sure what this town would demand of him, nor could he predict if the quest for answers would lead him deeper into its heart, and if he'd find a way back out once engaged. Jonathan's heart pulsed as the shadows closed in, and the question lingered in the air. Was he ready for the whispers that this silent invitation had to share? And more critically, did he truly want to listen? Little did he know, as the night's embrace drew closer, this journey was just beginning. Chapter 2: Whispering Walls. Jonathan sat in his portable chair in the middle of the deserted main street, feeling both like an intruder and an appointed sentinel. As daylight retreated, the blue of the evening deepened into indigo, draping the landscape in shadow. The town remained resolutely silent, its quietude so profound it made his ears ring with the absence of noise. The first stars blinked to life, timid at first, but soon gaining confidence against the velvet sky. Jonathan reached for his flashlight, the beam slicing through the darkness, illuminating opened windows and gaping doorways that seemed to peer back at him like eyes from a forgotten dream. He rose, compelled to explore further. The diner had given him his first taste of mystery, but now the rest of the town beckoned him, a siren's call woven into the night. Each step on the cracked asphalt echoed loudly in the hush of the surroundings, the sound amplified by the all-encompassing silence. It was as if the very ground whispered beneath him, drawing him unknowingly deeper into its secrets. Jonathan approached the storefronts lining the street. A dusty bookstore, its door left ajar, tempted him in. Upon entering, he was met with a sensory assault. The musty scent of aged paper blended with the echoes of tales unshelved in haste. Shelves stood as silent gray soldiers, books toppled over, scattered across the floor like whispered secrets of their own. One book lay open, caught mid-sentence, its spine broken at the heart of a story. It drew Jonathan in like a magnet, and he crouched to peer at the yellowing pages. It was a mystery novel, apt under the circumstances, detailing a detective's journey into the unknown. "The answers lie in listening to the silence between," he read aloud, the words resonating within the hollow bookstore. Startled by their relevance, he closed the book and set it back on the counter. The symbolism wasn't lost on him. He knew now he wasn't just here to look, but to listen, to grasp the unsaid stories hanging in the air. Outside, the night fully claimed the town. Shadows deepened into dark pools, filling every hollow, every nook. Jonathan's flashlight jittered, casting erratic beams that made the shadows dance like specters on the walls. In this solitude, the town's openness now felt more like an invisible, impenetrable barrier. Story. His next stop was a small general store. The door swung silently on rusting hinges as he entered. The abandoned registers stood like ancient sentinels, once the keepers of commerce, now rendered obsolete. A basket of apples lay toppled over, their glossy skins catching the moonlight through a wide-open bay window. Jonathan's fingers grazed over a counter strewn with miscellaneous items, a scattering of groceries left unpaid, a child's toy car, its wheels slightly turned on its side. Everything spoke of an abrupt abandonment, yet no sign indicated why or how such an exit had been orchestrated. A movement in the corner of his vision startled him. He spun, flashlight held high, eyes scanning the dim interior. For a fleeting second, he thought he saw a shadow slip from the open window, curling into the stark night beyond. Jonathan blinked hard, skeptically questioning his sanity. Was his mind playing tricks, or was there truly something or someone else here with him? As the hours trickled by, Jonathan's hesitation and fear slowly morphed into determination. Whatever veil lay over this town, he was committed to lifting it. Each empty room, each silent street hummed with a resonance just beyond the grasp of understanding. The strings of intrigue pulled at his every thought, beckoning him ever further into a dance of understanding and comprehension. Settling back into his chair, Jonathan prepared to face this town's ghostly revelations with an unyielding resolve. The open windows and doors sent shivers across his skin, but also whispered promises of revelations yet to materialize. In the distance, a chill breeze stirred, sweeping down from the mountains. It rattled through the trees, setting their branches whispering and urging Jonathan to listen closer, to truly hear what the silent invitation had to share. He felt as if something profound lingered in this night, something tethered to the veil of silence that cloaked this forgotten settlement. Chapter 3: Echoes of the Past. The small hours of the morning passed in a languid haze, the darkness holding its sway over the town. Jonathan nursed a cup of coffee he'd brewed from supplies liberated from the diner, its warmth a bold contrast to the chill of the mountain's nocturnal breath. He raised the cup to his lips, the steam mingling with his breath, disappearing into the freezing air like ghostly serpents. The town had yet to relinquish its secrets, but Jonathan's instincts told him patient vigilance would yield results. The increasing solitude heightened his senses and awareness, pushing his cognitive gaze beyond mere sight into the realms of intuition. He did not observe the transition when his eyelids grew heavy, nor when his consciousness began to slip from the here and now into the realm of dreams. But he found himself standing on the same asphalt, the stillness still profound, yet something was askew. Dreams within dreams unfolded around him, casting hues which were not entirely natural. He was in the same town, yet warmth bathed everything in a golden glow, as if the scene unfolded beneath a tender dawn. Around him, people went about their daily routines, unaware of his presence, their mouths moving without sound. Story. Jonathan wandered like a ghost through this ethereal vision. He padded silently past children, chasing each other across yards, a baker setting fresh bread on a windowsill, and a couple nestled on a porch swing, their lips moving in silent conversation. The town pulsed with a life unseen moments ago, its energies a vibrant crescendo against the haunting stillness he had grown accustomed to. Despite the absence of sound, an invisible dialogue reached toward him, plucking at the strings of his haunted curiosity. This place, this time, was not shrouded in mystery. Here, the sun smiled down, the breeze murmured softly through the leaves, and laughter, though silent, seemed to whisper just at the edge of perception. As he moved through this spectral scene, Jonathan's heart swelled at the normalcy, simple, cherished moments suspended in this pocket of reality. He noted the faces, serene and joyous, eyes twinkling with stories unique to each soul. Suddenly the dream world pivoted. Shadows crept into the warm light, blurring the edges of the scene. People stopped in mid-action, heads turning collectively toward something just out of sight. Jonathan flinched, instinctively following their gaze. A figure materialized at the town's periphery, moving with purpose, yet cloaked in shadows, its identity obscured. The townsfolk appeared frozen, trapped within their muted tableau. Only their eyes remained alive, wide with a strange mix of knowing and trepidation. Jonathan felt an urgent pull to follow the figure, his feet moving with a will of their own, each step echoing the heartbeat of the town. He reached the outskirts where the stranger had paused, its form now significantly clearer, only to be consumed by a darkness that seemed both foreign and familiar. A whispered voice, feminine and patient, brushed against his mind, startling in its sudden clarity amid the silence. "Seek not the shadows, but the light within. Here lies the past, where echoes weave truth into what you cannot yet comprehend." Jonathan awoke with a start, the dream slipping away, but leaving its imprint behind, its cryptic message lingering with the clarity of a first breath in the morning air. The moon watched overhead, silent and unmoved, as Jonathan gathered his thoughts. The dream was a message, a bridge between the past and present within this strange town. But understanding it meant unlocking the resonance he felt but couldn't quite grasp, understanding the silence by finding his way through its tangled threads. Determination renewed, Jonathan stood, the pre-dawn chill retreating beneath the fire of his resolve. Answers awaited within the fragmented whispers of memory and dream, requiring all of his perceptive skills to decipher. The sun threatened to unveil its light across the horizon as Jonathan moved through the town once more. He was armed now, not only with curiosity, but with an intent to unveil the core of the silent invitation. He was ready, or as ready as one could be when faced with an enigma of such magnitude. Story. In those final hushed moments before dawn, the town seemed different again, a presence seen only in the corners of his eyes, felt but not acknowledged. This town was alive in ways he had never imagined, and its story, whispered through dreams and silence, awaited its telling. Chapter 4. The Unseen Symphony. As morning's light crept over the mountain peaks, Jonathan wandered the streets anew, the haunted dream echoing softly in his thoughts. The world was painted with early hues, casting shadows long and twisting. Every shop and home stood silent, yet in their silent welcomes lay whispers of long-forgotten stories, eager for discovery. He was drawn back to the diner, the first place that had intrigued him. Sunlight streamed through the windows, casting warm patterns over the still steaming cups of coffee. He lingered by the counter, where an old radio stood, possibly one of the few untouched items he had noticed. Almost out of habit, he reached out and turned the knob carefully, expecting static, but hoping for more. The speakers crackled, first with the familiar hiss and pop of poor reception, then smoothing into a signal, the clear notes of an old vinyl playing a sweet and haunting melody. The song filled the space around him, its gentle cadence coaxing out the shadows from the corners, urging them to sway along. Instinctively, Jonathan closed his eyes, allowing the music to envelop him. It was as if the melody unfurled the town's hidden soul in those gentle notes. Images began to bloom behind his eyelids, snippets from the lives of those who once filled these streets with bustling activity and laughter. Faces, like those from his dream, men and women, elders and children, their lives erstwhile vibrant against the unseen tragedy that had claimed this town. The weight of their presence pressed against him, heavy yet full with meaning. The music, an unseen symphony of shared history and unexplained longing, tugged at Jonathan's heart, offering glimpses of unspoken truths, tying all these vestiges together that dared him to understand. But still a shadow loomed at the edges of his consciousness, an elusive element he couldn't yet grasp. Determined to dig deeper, Jonathan followed the music's thread back into the heart of the town, its silent pulse speaking in the notes of the song. He ventured toward the town's small community center, now merely a shell where vibrant gatherings were once held. Its doors, too, were open, inviting him into its hollow embrace. Within, he discovered a tranquil meeting room adorned with faded photographs and dusty trophies, celebrating long-ago triumphs. Here the music seemed to swell, crescendoing into a harmonious interplay of notes, a subtle shift from its mournful tune to something more hopeful, eliciting fragments of joy and community long extinguished. Jonathan's focus settled on a grand piano poised in the center of the room. His hands trembled as he approached, fingers brushing delicately over ivory keys that had not been disturbed for many years. As if guided by an unseen hand, he pressed them, summoning a sonorous chord that echoed through the empty halls, resonating with an unexpected familiarity and warmth. The sound reverberated, awakening the room around him. He felt a shift in the air, a soft susurration that assuaged the pressing silence. It was as if the town itself breathed in reply, the music coaxing out the echoes of its forgotten past. A world in which music was not merely sound, but a language that connected generations with invisible threads of shared experience. Jonathan's mind expanded with the weight of their shared history, feeling like a guardian entrusted with memories too precious to fade. These residents had vanished, perhaps into the shadow from his dreams, yet their voices lingered within the melody, united even in abandonment. He sank to a chair beside the piano, mind swirling with questions unanswered and stories half told. The music faded, leaving behind resonance that permeated every fiber of his being, a collective plea wrapped in its ethereal notes. Was it enough to uncover a town's lost vibrancy without understanding the shadow that had claimed it whole? Jonathan pondered this as he rested his head against the cool wood of the piano, contemplating a reality where silence became a bridge between past and future. The town awaited his decision. Would he stay to lift the veil further, unveiling what depths lay in the silent invitation's promise? Or would he leave, taking with him only the echoes that danced around him, enriched by what he'd glimpsed, yet still yearning for answers complete? Jonathan resolved to carry on, feeling a connection deeper than he had anticipated. With the breath of anticipation intertwining with morning's fresh breeze, he knew he wouldn't abandon this symphony of silence until the final note was played. Chapter 5: The Silent Hymn. The sun climbed higher, bathing the town in its gentle embrace. Jonathan wandered through those familiar streets, now fazed by neither silence nor shadows. Vigilance alone illuminated his ongoing quest as he pieced dream fragments together into the coherent mosaic they were becoming. He found himself returning to dwellings previously unexplored, guided now by a keener sense of what the silence protected. The little white church at the corner, its steeple rising high like a sentinel in the heart of the town, beckoned him next. Its bell was still, the rope hanging limp and untethered, yet its unbroken bell was like a heart, never ceasing its vigil. Jonathan's footsteps echoed along the nave as he entered, moving past rows of empty pews, each holding silent testimony of those who sought solace within these walls. The air was different. Here, the warmth from stained glass windows casting familiar colors that intertwined serenely. He approached the altar, an unremarkable yet solemn table, placed beneath the benevolent gaze of an angel depicted in the glass, a permanent watch over those who sought sanctuary. As he stood there, he noticed a small, leather-bound book resting on the pulpit. Curious, Jonathan opened it, discovering it was no ordinary prayer book, but a journal. A collection of town records, lists of births and marriages, each penned lovingly in careful, loopy script. Flipping through its pages, he began to understand the intricacy of these interwoven lives, their hopes, their dreams, and their shared fears. Pellucid details unfurled like paper flowers, presenting a glimpse into moments of community fellowship and hardship faced and conquered in unison. A particular entry caught Jonathan's eye, dated just days before the town's hushed transformation. It spoke of a festival, celebration filled with music and dance, a homage to the mountains that cradled their existence. His heart ached, sensing the innocent anticipation, unaware of the creeping shadow. Jonathan closed the book gently, reconciling with his own poignancy drawn from this newfound narrative. Part reflection, part lament for what remained untold. He felt the town's spirit pulsing within its pages, an unyielding testament of life despite its unexpected pause. In the stillness of the church, something shifted in Jonathan's perception. He realized the silence wasn't merely an absence, but a sacred hymn, resonating through every cobblestone and every leaf, preserving the vitality of its inhabitants. They hadn't left. They were etched into the very essence of the town, present in the air, the earth, and the sky above. Leaving the church, Jonathan paused at the threshold, feeling a profound sense of unity with the place. It was more than a mystery to be solved. It was a living narrative that he, too, had become a part of. The shadows still lingered, questioning and curious, but they no longer felt foreboding. Instead, they were simply chapters waiting to be read and understood. With renewed purpose, he continued his exploration, visiting each place with reverence, honoring the lives once vibrant and the silence that followed. He walked through the schoolhouse, where faded chalk marked lessons frozen in time, past the town hall, where voices once debated and decided, and through the quiet homes, pillows still indented by the heads that rested moments before departure. As dusk fell once more, Jonathan returned to his chair in the street, reflecting on the journey he had undertaken. The town had imparted its essence to him, a vital piece of what had always been here, yet unseen. He realized that the mystery wasn't about answering why the people disappeared, but understanding how they lived, and continued to live through their silent invitation. The question now was whether to leave or stay. His solitude had shifted from a place of self-exile to one of chosen peace, intricately connected to the beauty of life's transient nature. Though the town's story would linger in the recesses of his mind forever, Jonathan knew it was time to rejoin the world, carrying with him a newfound appreciation for its whispers and silences. As he packed his things, preparing to leave the Appalachian ghost town with its vibrant history woven through silence, Jonathan took a final look around. He felt the invisible presence of those who once thrived here, their lives a grand tapestry of interconnected tales, forever resonant, a silent symphony of shared humanity. With an unspoken farewell absorbed into the gentle mountain breeze, Jonathan drove away, leaving the town as he found it. Yet he knew it was different. Now, not in space or time, but in the way it existed, eternally alive in its silence, waiting patiently for another seeker of stories to accept its silent invitation. This completes Jonathan's journey, respecting the word limit while unfolding the themes and events subtly. The story weaves narrative threads of mystery, discovery, and appreciation for the intangible aspects of living history. Let me know if you would like to explore further details or specific themes.